I offer these webinars as a desire to create community and a desire to have people from all walks of life come together in community in order to really understand more about awakening the heart and to gain understanding about how our minds work. So, when we do gain understanding about how our mind works, life gets easier. We don't struggle so much. We really see the potential and the possibility of enjoying life far beyond any measure of imagination we had prior. So, in today's conversation, the topic is thoughts of kindness cause you struggle. So, in today's conversation, we're going to really look at kindness. We're going to look at all sides of it and see what comes up. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and I'll talk to you at the end. Are you ever surprised when you're not greeted with kindness? Just does it ever disturb you, throw you off, surprise you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So kind of share just what it looks like for you in when you kind of get surprised. I mean, what doesn't make sense to you?
I feel like you maybe had ESP, that you sent this email to invite us to this conversation about kindness. This has been a real challenge for me, and I'm like so shocked when I'm not met with kindness, and I ruminate about like how is it that they couldn't be kind, and how could they be like that? And because like being kind is so, as you already know, right, so incredibly important to me. So I'm so baffled and I'm so hurt.
When you see it, it sounds to me like you can't grasp an understanding why kindness is not present. I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand is like, what is it that I think what is it that it's not there? I mean, it's so obvious.
Yeah, that's how it is for me. Like it is so obvious. Why is it not there? And how would you choose to be anything other than kind? The world is hard enough already. Why would you want to intentionally add to the hurt and the heartache? And it doesn't take a lot of effort to be kind. It just takes the thought of like you just being thoughtful and considerate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. No, that's a wonderful example. Wonderful example.
Well, I kind of have a different take on it. Like
Great.
when I am met with kindness, I don't trust it because I think it equals manipulation. And that whoever is showing me kindness is trying to manipulate me in some way to get something from me. So,
Excellent.
anyway, that's kind of what came up for me and I wrote down.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts on if you get disturbed or can't understand it, or maybe you don't expect kindness? Is there anybody in the conversation that it's a moot point? It doesn't even register if people are kind or not kind.
I think I run into that in the medical setting where the nurses are very rushed and, and they don't have the first impression of, they present as being rushed and distracted versus being nice. So, I mean, I just push the issue until they are really. I mean, I just keep saying nice things, nice things, nice things until I get what I want because I don't want a grumpy nurse. So I just compliment them and just I keep doing my part to bring them back to where I think they should be.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So that kind of takes me to the next question that I have. that I would love for each one of us to just share about what does kindness look like for you? Because it's going to be real obvious in your world, but I'd love for each one of you to just share and articulate your definition of kindness. It doesn't even have to be your reaction to it, but just how you hold kindness within yourself. How would you kind of define it or explain it to somebody?
For me, it's compassion, patience, grace, and softness.
Beautiful.
For me, I think it's about being sensitive and thoughtful, and about the situation, about the person, and yeah, that's yeah. And is this exchange, how can this exchange, I mean, I don't go through all this, but like how can this exchange like feel like good, feel positive in some way?
And that would make positive a good thing. You know what I mean? Or good, a connection would be a good thing.
Yeah. Mm.
Great. You know, and my definition is probably so I look at my previous understanding about kindness and I go, it made no sense to me why people don't just default to kindness. You know, just like I really believed it was a default setting. And in my mind, kindness was so obvious. Kindness is, I think this is the funny part. I had to really look and see that kindness for me to register it as kindness, it had to kind of be delivered in the way that I thought it needed to be delivered. You know, it had to be delivered in a particular tone of voice. It needed to be delivered with somebody being present and, you know, seeing me. It needed to be, like I said, in a tone of voice that was warm, you know, and so that caused me a whole lot of frustration for a long time because I'm like going, what are all these people mad about? What are they? What did this word, but first, when I really started getting curious about that, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? This is where my mind used to go. What did I do that would cause a reaction like that? All I did was ask a simple question, you know, or all I did was try to gain some understanding on something. And so it would really baffle me. And I'll use the word that we used a minute ago, just about ruminating. I would really go back and try to analyze, where did it go wrong? Because my intention was very high, you know, to just be collaborative, understand, get a piece of information, move the ball down the field, whatever it was. And then it would come, the reaction from others would be, I can't even say cosmically different, because it was so unexpected, being from standing in the shoes I was standing in with the intention that I had, when I would get surprised when people would not be kind, you know? So that was mine. That was how I held it. Anybody else want to share how you hold kindness? What's your definition?
I don't know about a definition, but like not everybody's on. You said something about a setting. Like we're not all in the same setting at the same time. So that's a hard question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm thinking about it because I just got through binge watching the Gilmore Girls, if anybody has seen that. And the grandmother is so, she can be so nice, but then all of a sudden it's just like venom. You know what I mean? It's so I really don't know. I guess we're all having our own experience at a different time.
100%. 100%. And you know, I want you to kind of reflect and consider, do you hold kindness as, when it comes to human beings, kindness as universal, like gravity, like nobody is exempt
Mhm.
from a baseline ability to be kind? Now, that's where I'll out myself again. It's like, I kind of thought just like gravity, kindness is universal. Everybody has the capacity. Everybody sees it the same way. If there's one definition for kindness. So do you feel like it's universal, or do you feel like it's more personal?
I would say it's universal. Because you can have the most like horrible person who's terrible to people, but they are kind to animals. So they have it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I agree that's universal, but I think that what it looks like for each of us is different. And I yeah, and I think that some people it's not on their radar, it's not their priority. It's not something that is super important to them.
So they don't value it. It's really
Mhm.
not on their dashboard.
Yeah.
Good point.
Um,
Wilma.
I think I think kindness is universal, just like everything is universal and everybody. We have pieces of everything. However, I think there are many people that choose not to practice kindness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll also say this. I think there is a certain amount when you show kindness to a person, there's a certain vulnerability that gets exposed. And so I don't think it's necessarily the kindness that people have a difficult time expressing, but the vulnerability that goes with the kindness.
Mm, mm, mm. That's another great point, because in some settings, kindness is perceived as like you said, vulnerability or a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you need to come to people in some circles. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of goes into that arena of um, individual definitions and perceptions around kindness, that somehow they feel like, um, I don't know. I've heard they kind of sometimes even get people that are kind of get the dumbed down,
Mm-hmm.
like we hear that a lot in southern states, that if
I was going to say that, especially if you're from the South. Yes.
somehow the inflection of your voice suggests that
Yeah.
your intelligence is
Hard.
lesser, or like I said, even coming into negotiations or corporate settings, that people, and this is just based on individual perceptions, that you're either not a strong leader, or you're just, I'll say, softer,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I also know, I'm thinking about this one particular person who is she's a leader of $1 billion company, and she's about as soft and as kind as you can get a human being to be. And I think it's wonderful how people underestimate her. And I think that has accelerated her success tremendously,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just based on someone's perception. So I think this is just how it looks to me. I think it is, every human being has the capacity for kindness, but I think everything that y'all mentioned is it valued? Is it even important to them? When I've even questioned people about it, and they're like, "Well, that was my kind voice." I'm like, "Whoa, that was your kind voice?" When it kind of surprises you, it's like, there was no intent of harshness and your tone of voice are like, absolutely not. And I'm like, whoa, what sent me back to my definition and my state of mind going, wait a minute, am I holding on to my definition of kindness and how it should show up in the world? And I'd have to say, yeah. So it's like, okay, so what do you do with your definition of kindness in your own separate reality and really allow other people to carry their definition of kindness in their separate reality? And then back to the you and the me of how can I have a better understanding about this where it doesn't cause me suffering? Because we don't want to attach our peace to anything outside of us. We don't want to attach it to, I can't be at peace within myself if there's a war going on in the universe. And that's an extreme example, but and I don't want to, well, just tell me, anybody give me thoughts about that one, about really coming back and checking in with yourself when our definitions of kindness, or that's the topic we're talking about today, kind of comes back on us. What looks like the solution? Yes.
For me, it's just meditation, getting back to my center and my core, getting myself aligned with myself. And it's not always, when I feel like it's coming at me from the outside world, it's very difficult for me to take the time to sit with myself. However, I've had enough experience that when I do, it takes a minute, a while, many minutes to a lot. And sometimes I'm not successful at quieting my mind to get to that place. But it always is about coming back to myself and what's true for me. And the more I can accept what's true for me, then the more accepting I am of what's true for other people. Without feeling like, and the more accepting I am of people who can't see my truth, because I know it. I feel it in my body. I know it. I've seen the alignment and I've seen the unalignment. So, anyway, all I'm saying is it's about coming back to me and getting quiet, not distracting myself. And that's not, and I don't always want to do that. And it's not always fun.
Oh, there's a part of us that does not want to give up our right, whatever that is. You know what I mean? Because it looks so right to us.
Yeah.
It is so right to us. Yeah, that's such a good point.
Ask the question again, Cherie.
Gosh, now I think the question has even changed inside me now of just that piece of we have our own definition of kindness. We have our own, I'll say, scale of importance of kindness. We have our own and our own mindset. I'll even, in our own mindset, we hold kindness unique to us per our definition. Okay. And we've all talked about, we all feel like kindness is a component in every human being, because like it was stated a minute ago, it's like people can be kind to animals or strangers easier than they can be kind to the people in their life. So they hold it, they have it. There's proof it's in there, but it doesn't show up in the, it doesn't have a lot of logic to it. Like it would make sense to us. Like the people you care the most about should be the easiest people to be kind to, and for them to be kind to us. Okay. So in the kind of restating the question, it's we hold a particular definition and importance to kindness, but we're not a silo. So we do live in the world with other people. So when we have to do kind of a gut check going, okay, this is how I hold it. This is unique to me. And so when we cross somebody that doesn't hold it with the same definition or the same meaning, and they just are being them in their world, we don't want to attach our well-being to them meeting our definition of kindness. Okay, so when the point that I was talking about was like, okay, when we bump into their reality and it comes back and causes me to get destabilized or disturbed or ruminate or churn on how they're being in the world, it's robbing me of my peace. You see? So in that place of, it wakes us up to that part about how important and how much do you value your peace. If it's important to you, then you really want to come back to noticing that if your peace feels like it's attached to something outside of you, there's a misunderstanding within me. Maybe it's in my egoic mind. Maybe, it's some standard, something that's causing me suffering because I'm holding it like they have to be different for me to be at peace. And that's a big misunderstanding because we're yoking our well-being to something outside of us. Yes,
it's so interesting to know that, like, it's easy to know it in an intellectual way, and it's very challenging to know that in a visceral way.
Absolutely.
And then okay, so then we're talking about kindness, and then to not like get in the space where we know it in our head but we don't know it viscerally, and then to not like be unkind to ourselves because we can't get it, even though we know it, we can't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's where like having that compassion, patience, grace, and softness with ourselves, for me at least, really matters, because it's, yeah. Anyway, you hit the nail on the head for me.
No, but I think that is so true, because it's the relationship we've always wanted with life. It gets tainted by the relationship we have with ourselves. And I think that's that piece of misunderstanding that we've been innocently been downloaded with, like it always looked like I had to work hard to get things in place. And if I was good enough to get things in place, I could be at peace. I could relax. I could feel love. I would be lovable. But that's a backward system, because it will breed dissatisfaction from now to the end of this lifetime, or probably whatever 100 million more you might have. I don't know about all that, but you know what I'm saying? It's a piece of misunderstanding. So to that part, when we get disturbed, I'll say, and inside me, and I'm not saying this is, I'm just saying this is how it came to me. Inside me, if I get disturbed, instead of turning on myself, I just really feel like here's a place where I have a misunderstanding, and ask to get understanding on it, because it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt if it was loving. It just wouldn't hurt.
And it also, for me, it wouldn't hurt, for me, it's just sibling stuff. And so if there still wasn't this little kid part of me that needed their approval so much, then it wouldn't hurt quite so much. So then that's a clue for me that I have to keep getting centered with myself. I have to keep getting centered with myself. Yeah.
So what might that misunderstanding be there? Just we're playing a guessing game.
Oh, that they hate me. I don't matter. My feelings don't matter. They never have. Nobody's checked on me. People change plans with me. They change plans with me at the last minute. I'm not important. There's a whole litany, right?
Oh yeah, but before that, the statement you made before that, where do you think there's a misunderstanding before?
Oh, there's a misunderstanding in my circuitry. Yes. Yeah, that okay. The misunderstanding in my circuitry is that they are right about me. Their narrative is correct about me.
Okay.
And their narrative about me may be correct for them. However, when I get really clear, it's not correct. And it doesn't even matter what it is, correct or incorrect or mean or kind or whatever. If I get really clear with me, then that doesn't matter. It's it's just and I know that intellectually, and like I said, it's just very challenging at times to get to that place of alignment within myself. I touch on it from time to time, and then it's also challenging because I interpret what comes at me a certain way, and then based on how I interpret that, if I'm not standing in my integrity, I will react to that rather than responding to it. And I'll just turn around and just be as thoughtless as I interpret them to be, then I'm just that way back. And so then here we go. The whole thing just snowballs. Yeah.
So even if an opportunity, like an opportunity to gain understanding might be at the place of not trusting your own interpretation of what you're seeing.
Yeah. Well, and my interpretation doesn't matter, because what matters is how I feel inside. Yeah.
Exactly. It does not. You'll see interpretation is arbitrary on their part and my part both.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It's kind of like when I've heard people talk about some incredible hardships in their life, and depending on the person and depending on their state of mind at the time, it was either circumstances that propelled them in their life or circumstances that defined their life.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that points right back to interpretation.
Yes.
And so it's like, wait a minute, if it's my interpretation that is robbing me of my peace, who's I love this phrase, I heard it the other day, whose hula hoop is that in? That's in my hula hoop. If my interpretation is causing me suffering, do I have to take it seriously? If it's causing me suffering, do I have to take it seriously? So that also is ways that we can kind of organically grow kindness towards ourselves in places we haven't held it. Any thoughts or anything on anything at this moment?
That you go back to being a child. So when somebody's not being kind, like to us, then I guess we could think of them like they're a child also. Because they might be having their little child moment.
Yeah.
or a toxic masculinity moment or whatever.
Whatever,
Yeah.
absolutely. Whatever label you want to put on it.
Mhm.
It's, if I think it's what it looks like to me when two people are triggered and trying to have a conversation. I really see it in my head that's like, oh, my 5-year-old is face to face with their 5-year-old.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? There is nothing productive going to come from two 5-year-olds going at it. It's just nothing productive. I need to walk away until some level of maturity returns to my 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 state of being, because my 5-year-old and that 5-year-old cannot solve anything. I had such a small menu of possibilities when I was 5 years. So let me wait till I come back to some level of maturity and understanding, and it will return. It always does. It always does. Any other thoughts that are swirling on our topic of kindness?
So it seems to me like this understanding, because that's really what it comes down to. This understanding is so simple, but Cherie, then why is it so hard?
That is a great mystery. To me, it's like, if we're a divine creation, why do we have a part of us, our conditioned mind or ego or whatever you want to call that part of us, that seems like it works against the spiritual nature of us? I don't know. I don't know. That's way, I don't understand it. I I remember even being a teenager going, I don't get it. When to kind of having a conversation with my own mind, like going, you reside in me, and why aren't you on my side? It just never made sense in this divine creation. So I don't know. I don't know. But I know that when it starts to matter the feeling you live in, you kind of decide to lean in to, I'll say, the love side of life, and let the right and wrong side of life, or I'll say even the kind of the conditioned mind side of life, to let it go, to just not
So,
let it be the ultimate authority.
so then what does that mean for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because you do have a deeper understanding of all of that, all of this. What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean for you when you do have experiences of people being incredibly unkind? I would expect it doesn't happen. Well, I don't know. Well, if you do have experience of people being incredibly unkind,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how like what does that look like for you? Like and yeah, what does that look like for you?
So now that I don't carry the expectation that people will show up and be kind, I just don't kind of carry that as a baseline expectation that was silent in me. It wasn't like I charged into the room going, everybody I know is going to be kind. It was very underground expectation that I really see that people are going to show up in the state of mind that they're in at that moment. Okay. And that their state of mind in that moment has absolutely nothing to do with me.
Mm,
They are in full relationship with their state of mind and what that state of mind is telling them about what they're seeing. You see what I mean? So for me, it was a 180 for me to really see. When I was a little kid, I thought I was tap dancing because I always thought it was me. If somebody was sad, I must have done something wrong. Sharpen my pencil, you know what I mean? Get better at it, be more vigilant. If in relationships, somebody's upset, it has something to do with me. And then so through understanding that people are only living in response And you can't wake up to it, but in response to their state of mind, most people aren't awake that they're reacting to their state of mind. They really think they're reacting to something I said or did. In
Mhm.
reality, they're reacting to their expectation of what they thought I should say or do. You see, so when I could extricate myself from how people showed up and saw it truly as it being an independent, they're inside their own universe, and now I'm over here, I'm independent of it and outside of it, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. I wouldn't self-implode that it had something to do with me.
Mm.
You know, so I could hold it different going. Then you can kind of sit there and go, if now's not a good time, let's find another time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It gets real matter of fact at that point. You don't particularly like it, but you don't walk away slimed and needing to scrub it off for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? You just walk away, shake it off, and go on about your life, because it's like it doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm here. I'm open. I'm receptive. They want to do something great and wonderful, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. And that's hard to see. That's hard. I have to say hard for me. It was hard for me to see because their eyes were looking at me.
Yeah.
Their upset and voice was coming toward me, you know? So how could it not include me? I'm the subject in their sentence. It's like, no. I might be the subject in their sentence, but that's only because it's how their mind has built the story.
So then as a result of that, and I appreciate that reminder because I do follow what you're saying, but as a result of like an experience like that,
Mm-hmm.
where somebody shows up in that way with you because they don't know they're reacting to their thinking, they're not reacting to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like what does that do? Like and I'm sure it probably varies by relationship, but sometimes does that experience of someone ever like for, for me, it makes me feel very unsafe because they lost their mind and they directed it at me. And if you're going to do it once, for me, it's a matter of time. It's just going to happen again. So,
Mm,
like,
mm.
for me, and I have to like walk away. I'm like,
You bet.
you
You
know,
bet.
you
I
know,
mean, you bet if you give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but if on the fifth or sixth try the rattlesnake is showing its spots, it's like I'm cool on it. I don't need to. I'm not self-sacrificing.
mm,
You see what I mean? If somebody's having an off day, so what? Whatever. But if there's a repetitive nature to it that I might just trigger something in them,
yeah,
I'm like, I'm moving on. You know what I mean? I have my life to enjoy. It's really clear to me. I have my life to enjoy. Let me get back to my lane and go about enjoying my life, because I don't need them to either approve of me. I don't need them to think well of me. I don't need them to see me as worthy. I don't need them to like me. And, you know, in all the crazy family relationships I've been exposed to, you know, I've tap danced to all of those, but it doesn't make sense to me today. It's like, because they really, really, really do. I can love them. I can hold the door open for them, but I'm not going to stand at the door and wait for them to come back. I have my life to enjoy. And that seems real important to me. Either waste head time on things I can't control, or make a vote in my reality for me. So like in just coming to this piece of like, okay, I have my reality of kindness. Other people may not share my reality of kindness just because of where they hold it in their value of importance. I'm not going to let their value of importance impact me more than hopefully 5 minutes. You know, if it carries on more than that, I might have a piece of misunderstanding around this. Show me where I'm missing the piece. And the best thing that makes sense to me is, how can I make peace with how different people are in the world? How can I make peace with all the differences? That's on my side of the line. How can I make peace with that? That which I cannot control. And you can put any subject in that sentence, anything you can't control. You know? How can I make peace with it? How can I make peace with their system? How can I make peace with that system? How can I make peace with the weather doing what the weather does? How can I make peace with a body that cooperates or doesn't cooperate? You know, how can I make peace with aging? How can I make peace with whatever, so that I don't suffer, so I can come back to a place of peace and inspiration within myself? And I'm really on board with not expending my energy on things I can't control anymore. It seems like such a total waste of resources, when I could be giving those resources in support of, I'll say support of my peace, and also in support of what I value, which might be beauty, it might be gardening, might be whatever. Creativity. It's like, wait a minute, I can use all that energy that would be mental or otherwise outgoing to things I can't control, to bring it back and direct it to what matters to me. And hopefully they'll do that too. I think that, I don't know why, I just think that's such a high order. It's like, okay, how can I make peace with that? And then I kind of give it to the powers that can probably send me, you know what I mean? It's not up to my intellect, but it's like, okay, please, whoever's in charge, send me some fresh information so I can learn how to be at peace with that.
Cherie, I just thought of something. So I know we had talked before, when I was we were talking about interacting with my dad and my mother, and I remember it's about how we show up. Like we can show up expecting them to be not kind.
Yeah.
So if we go into the room with that expectation, we're already putting off energy that for them to do the same thing they've always done.
Well, or for us to only see that part.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They may be tap dancing with kindness, but we've already decided that they're going to
Right.
be, we can't see it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
That's how tainted we can contaminate a real clean moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you lose your keys and you go all over and you go all over, you've looked everywhere and you're like, I've looked everywhere, I can't see my keys. Well, your head is so spinning, like, where did I leave my keys? And they were like right there on the counter the whole time. You couldn't see them because you were already in your head about, I've lost them, I don't know where I put them, You see what I mean? So you've already painted the picture before, and you've already painted the picture of a clean moment before you ever let the moment happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get grounded and centered before you enter those moments, in whatever way it makes sense to you, it's like, I feel like if you can get grounded and feel safe, when you really start to cultivate a knowing that you're safe in the world, you can go clear-minded to any conversation, because you have the ability to leave now when you once didn't, or you have, you're under your own authority at this point. You can leave. You don't have to hang around. You don't have to tolerate anything. And that's part of that 5-year-old triggered self that needs to be updated. So I don't need to contaminate any moment or prepare myself for any moment, because A, I'm safe, and B, I will do what's best for me in any moment as the moment unfolds. it's like, smearing, looking out a beautiful plate glass window and smearing something on it. You've kind of contaminated the view before you ever got a chance to look out the window. Any other comments or anything before we wrap up our conversation?
I appreciate that you do this. It's very helpful. Mhm.
Well, thank you. And I'm so grateful y'all came to the conversation. I just value and appreciate your time, and that you would take time, an hour out of your day, to come in and just to be in community and share. I'm very, very appreciative. So I thank you also very much. I hope you've gained a broader picture about the universal nature of kindness, the personal nature of kindness, really the ways that we can gain understanding about the world we see with our eyes, and gain understanding that others are seeing the world through their eyes and what they value. And how can we successfully be in relationship, knowing we all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different perceptions, different ways of seeing things. But ultimately, we come back to minding our own peace, and how can we align with the nature of life and be at peace with it. Again, thank you for joining. If you'd like support via coaching or workshops, please visit my website at cherieray.com.